Exposed, orphaned and penniless, she discovered her husband's amazing secret, changing everything. Emily's heart raced as she read the old journal, each handwritten word sending electric shocks through her chest. The bustling morning in her bakery, sweet dreams, faded into a blur. The scent of cinnamon rolls and fresh bread usually warmed her soul, but today it felt suffocating. Lost in memories, she felt the weight of her late husband's dreams pressing against her. She'd been orphaned young, left with nothing but a broken heart and a fading hope. Now, widowed and drowning in bills, the thought of closing her beloved shop loomed like a heavy cloud. The revelation about the inherited land from her husband, Jack, was as shocking as thunder. Could this be her lifeline? Or a cruel trick of fate? Tears filled her eyes as she recalled his wide smile, how they dreamed together of the future. But what future? She felt like the ground beneath her was shifting, and with each passing moment, her bakery vanished further from reality. "Emily, you've got this," she whispered to herself, yet doubt clawed at her insides. Glancing out the window, she saw Jack, the local veteran, pass by. He often frequented her bakery, sharing stories of his own losses and the struggles of finding steady ground. Sometimes, it felt like his words stitched together the fabric of her broken heart. "Hey, Emily, can I grab a coffee?" He entered with that sheepish grin of his, one foot already firmly planted in the community battle against the uncertainty choking them all. Each time he spoke, a piece of his truth rang loud and clear, echoing in the quiet corners of her bakery. As they sipped coffee, Emily learned of Jack's fight with generational poverty, the struggle to carve out a life amidst hardships. Their conversation stirred something deep within her, an undeniable urge to help not just herself but those around her. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow that wrapped around the modest storefront. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The weight of emotion surged within her, each word from Jack adding fuel to the fire. More people began to trickle into her bakery, each person facing their own battle of survival. There was May, the elderly woman, and her thousand stories of perseverance. Benny, the teenager with dreams like fireflies that danced in the night, flickering but never fading out. Their laughter, their struggles, all interwoven with hers, created a tapestry of hope in the cozy space, yet the developers loomed near with ulterior motives, ready to tear apart the very fabric of the small town Emily cherished. She felt the pull: keep the land as a tribute to Jack's dreams or sell it to save her bakery. It was a point of no return, the threads of grief and community intertwining painfully. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the countertop, Emily felt the stirrings of resolve. Just as she reached for her phone to call her neighbor with a choice that would change everything, a sudden, urgent knock echoed through the bakery. Emily's heart skipped. Was it clarity or chaos waiting on the other side? Emily's breath caught as she approached the door, its rickety frame shuddering with another vigorous knock. She steadied herself, wiping her palms on her apron. What if it was an investor? A city official here to discuss zoning laws? Or worse, someone there for her land? "Stay calm," she muttered under her breath. Her heart drummed a frantic beat as she swung the door open. Standing before her was a familiar face: Jack's estranged brother, Andy. His presence sent a shockwave through Emily. It had been years since they last spoke, but something in his gaze felt urgent and heavy, like he carried a burden far too big for his slender shoulders. "Emily, I came as soon as I heard," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Heard? Heard what?" she asked, confusion mingling with unease. Anxiety danced at the edges of her mind. "About the land. About what Jack left you," he finally said, stepping inside her warm bakery. The scent of freshly baked pie momentarily washed over him, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in his eyes. "Please, "Let us talk," Emily urged, leading him to a corner table, where sunlight brushed against the chairs. Like a fleeting moment of hope. As they sat, Andy unfolded the truth behind Jack's intentions. Jack always believed in community. That land, it's meant for more than just a plot of earth. He wanted to build something we could all rely on. A place for the people of this town. Emily's heart started to race again. "What do you mean? I don't understand." He had plans, dreams of turning it into a community center, Andy explained, leaning forward. He wanted to create a safe haven, a space for folks like us, struggling and fighting every single day. Your bakery was meant to be part of it, a hub where everyone comes together. A flicker of realization ignited within her. Suddenly, the weight of Jack's compassion bared down on her. This was the reason he had insisted on saving the land years ago, a vision shimmering faintly in the distance until loss and grief snuffed it out. "But I can't do this alone," Emily whispered, tears welling at the corners of her eyes. "I barely keep this place running as it is. What if I fail? What if it falls apart?" "Then you won't," Andy said firmly, grasping her hand. "Community is what we can build together. I'm here to help. You're not alone. Not anymore." Hope bloomed cautiously in Emily's heart. Yet shadows of doubt still lingered in her mind. "Is this even possible?" she questioned, sweaty palms cradled tightly around her mug. "What if the developers come? What if then we fight?" "We stand together against them," he answered, his voice steady and clear, igniting a fire in her spirit. As Emily gazed into Andy's earnest eyes, something shifted inside her. A clarity emerged amidst the chaos, and she suddenly realized that maybe keeping the land was the key, not just for her bakery but for a whole community. But just as determination began to take root, a sudden bang outside shattered the moment. A loud commotion erupted from the street, voices rising in anger. "What is happening?" Emily whispered, instinct gripping her. As they rushed to the window, horror seeped into her chest. A group of developers stood across the street, rallying against the townsfolk pushing their agenda fiercely. The reality of their fight could very well be upon them. With a shared glance between her and Andy, they both understood one thing clearly: the battle for their town had just begun. And this time, they needed to stand united. With adrenaline pumping, Emily turned back toward the chaos, resolve crystallizing with every heartbeat. But would they be strong enough to face whatever was coming next? In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Emily felt the energy in her chest surge as she turned toward the door, her mind racing with possibilities. She and Andy needed to act fast. There was no time to waste. They couldn't let the developers crush Jack's dream. "Come on," she said, urgency in her voice. "We need to join them." Andy nodded, determination etched on his face. Together, they dashed out of the bakery and into the whirling wind of fear and defiance that filled the street. The once familiar sound of her customers chatting over coffee and pastries had been replaced by shouts and anger, and Emily felt each shout pierce her like cold ice. As they reached the gathering crowd, she saw faces she recognized: neighbors, school friends, families who had shared joys and sorrows with her and Jack. The air was thick with tension. She could see a man in a sharp suit waving a tablet, rattling off plans that made Emily's stomach churn. Glaring at the glossy images of proposed buildings, she realized this wasn't just about land, it was about heart. "Listen up," the man shouted, trying to drown out the rising dissent. "Progress is coming to your town. We're offering jobs and opportunities." "Opportunities for who?" someone cried from the crowd. "You don't care about us." Empathy swelled within Emily as she stepped closer, compelled to speak. "You don't know what we need. We have built a community right here. Our lives matter." The words poured from her, raw and sincere. She caught Andy's eye as he moved beside her, his presence a quiet reassurance behind her newfound courage. The crowd began to echo her sentiments, voices rising in a harmonic wave of resistance. It was exhilarating yet terrifying, but as the thrumming heartbeat of her community grew, so did her fears. What if they had no choice but to back down? What if no one would listen? For a moment, Emily hesitated, the shadow of doubt creeping back. "Emily, you've got this," Andy murmured, his support grounding her. She turned to the side and saw more familiar faces, people from her bakery, those who had laughed with her over slices of pie. They believe in this place just like Jack did, Emily thought, a quick breath igniting the embers of her resolve. A woman stepped forward, her voice steady as she faced the developers. "We want to let you take our home. We stand for each other, not for your business." The crowd cheered, and Emily felt energy ripple around her, a shared understanding uniting them all, but the man in the suit smirked, regaining his composure. "You think you can change the outcome? This is just the beginning." His dismissive tone sent a shiver through Emily, making her heart race even harder. What does he know? She thought defiantly. She refused to back down. This was her town and Jack's promise. Suddenly, the ground beneath her felt unsteady, emotions swirling like a tempest. A hush descended briefly as she looked between Andy and the faces of her friends, anticipation etched deeply. Their fight was real now, and the stakes were high, the uncertainty loomed large, but this was exactly what Jack had hoped for, a chance at something bigger than all of them. Determination surged, pushing back fear. Emily took a step closer to the forefront, her voice rising once more to cut through the tension. "This is our land. Our future is worth fighting for." The crowd erupted around her, roaring with passion and conviction. But just as Emily felt the tide turning, a loud explosion jolted everyone, sending people stumbling backward. The developer's vehicle screeched, smoke billowing out in a ghastly plume, and Emily's heart sank. What had they just unleashed? Would their stand now put everything at risk? With fear coursing through her, Emily knew one thing for certain: they were on the brink of something monumental. The fight wasn't over. It had only just begun. What were they truly willing to risk to protect their home? The smoke curled through the air, thick and suffocating. Emily's heart raced as she absorbed the shockwaves of chaos spreading through the crowd. People stumbled back, eyes wide with disbelief, some crying out in fear. The comforting warmth of solidarity turned into an icy wave of panic. What just happened? Andy shouted over the clamor, his face pinched with concern. Emily turned, searching desperately for the source of the chaos. Was it an accident? Or a warning sent by the very developers they were standing against? Her stomach twisted, but she pushed the thoughts away. They couldn't lose focus now. The fight was just beginning. In the distance, sirens wailed and police cars began to arrive, lights flashing like angry fireflies. The tension in the air shifted, transforming from defiance to fear. The developer's man, now alarmed, stumbled back towards his vehicle, frantically gesturing for his team to regroup. Meanwhile, the crowd surged forward, emboldened by the sense of urgency. "Stay together!" Emily yelled, raising her voice to cut through the noise, her heart pounding in rhythm with the fear and determination around her. People turned to her, eyes glinting with fierce resolve. She could see the flare of rallying spirit returning, even amid the uncertainty. Just as quickly, she felt the flickering doubt knocking at her heart once more. What if this was all for nothing? What if they couldn't withstand the forces coming at them? Then she remembered Jack's laughter, his dreams, the plans they mapped out together over coffee in the bakery. We owe it to him, she thought fiercely, banishing the doubt to the back of her mind. We have to show them we will not be intimidated. She cried. What they see as a property, we see as our home. Andy nodded, mirroring her conviction as more faces joined in with nods of agreement and defiance. The crowd began to chant, voices rising together like a powerful wave crashing against an invisible wall. Just then, a man from the crowd climbed up onto a nearby bench. We want to show the developers we are united. He shouted, drawing everyone's attention. We need signs. We need to let them know we will fight for our town. Emily felt a spark of hope rise within her. They could use this moment. Let us get creative. She shouted. Use anything you have, cardboards, markers, anything. People began frantically digging through bags and pockets. Someone started passing out old sheets, others scrawled messages with anything they could find. Emily joined in, scribbling out phrases that rang true to her heart. Save our home, together we stand, we are more than profit. Each word felt like a deposit in a bank of hope. As she helped create signs, laughter bubbled up amidst the chaos. Someone joked about how they should paint a giant pie on one, a nod to her bakery and the joy it brought. It reminded them all that this was not just a fight for land, it was a fight for identity. But just as they finished and the crowd stood ready to display their homemade banners, the first police officers approached, faces serious and watchful. All right, folks, one officer called. We need to keep this area clear. This is a restricted zone now. An electric tension surged. Would their day of unity come crashing down just as it began to rise? Emily stepped forward, heart thudding in her chest. We're not causing trouble, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. We're fighting for our home. The officer's gaze softened for just a moment, caught off guard by the sincerity in her eyes. But the moment was fleeting. I understand, he replied, though his voice remained firm. But you need to disperse. Failure to do so might lead to arrests. Fear snaked through her. Would they really be arrested for standing together? Emily looked at Andy, then at the faces of her friends, her family. This was their last chance to show what they stood for. We can't let them silence us, she whispered to Andy, determination sparking again. We can't give up now. Everyone could feel the weight of the moment. Would they stay or go? In that stillness, choices were being made, futures decided. As the officer cleared his throat, the tension in the air thickened. Emily sensed they were standing at a precipice, ready for whatever came next. And somehow, she felt stronger than before, the power of unity coursing through her veins. But just as she took a breath to rally the crowd, a sudden shout echoed from the back, causing a gasp of surprise. What if we took this fight to the next level? Who had said that? What did they mean? Emily's heart raced again, not sure where this new direction could lead them. Would they risk everything, or would it push them too far? A ripple of uncertainty twisted through the crowd as eyes darted to the source of the voice. It was a young woman, her hair wild and flowing like a banner. She stood confidently, hands on her hips, defiance radiating from her very stance. What do you mean? Emily called back, curiosity winning over the brewing concern. The woman stepped closer, her voice rising above the din. I mean, we shouldn't just stand here holding signs. We need a plan. We need to show them we're not just a group of scared citizens. They need to see us as a community that's ready to fight for our future. A murmur of agreement swept through the crowd, igniting something deeper. Emily felt the spark of determination flare again, though a hint of fear still lingered. What do you have in mind? She asked, feeling the weight of leadership settle on her shoulders. Let us take our message to their doorstep. Let us march to the developer's office. She shouted, her eyes gleaming with zeal. Let them see us. Let them hear us. If they want to silence us, they'll have to face us head-on. The suggestion hung in the air like a tether to hope. Emily's heart raced. A march? It was bold, brash even, but it could be their moment. Adrenaline surged through her veins, her mind racing with possibilities. What if they were met with resistance? But, she thought back to Jack and how fiercely he had believed in standing up for what was right. Are we in this together? She called out, searching the faces surrounding her. If we go as one. A wave of voices filled the air in response, chanting her words back to her. Together. Together. Emily's heart swelled. This was what unity looked like. They were no longer simply a mass of individuals, they were a collective force, a community ready to stand together. Okay, let us do it, Emily declared, her voice strong. But we all need to stay calm and focused. We move as a group, no one gets left behind, and no one steps out of line. Andy stepped up beside her, gripping her arm reassuringly. We've got your back, he said, eyes steady. They started gathering their signs, adrenaline coursing through them like an electric current. The crowd began to move as one cohesive entity, marching toward the street that led to the developer's office. Chanting filled the air, an anthem rising against the mounting tension. With every step, the fear began to fade, replaced by a fierce urgency to reclaim their identity. But as they approached the office district, apprehension gripped Emily once more. Sirens echoed in the distance, echoing warnings that felt almost ominous, yet the cheers behind her pushed her forward. Just as they reached the entrance, an imposing line of officers appeared, shields in hand, ready for confrontation. Emily felt the air thicken, her heart hammering at the prospect of confrontation. The crowd faltered, a wave of uncertainty washing over them. And then, just like that, the fearless woman stepped forward, her voice cutting through the unease. "We are not here to start a fight. We're here to be heard." Emily could see the glimmer of hope in some officers' eyes, but others remained stoic. It was a moment hanging by a fragile thread. Can we make our voices count? She wondered. Their unity would be tested here. Would the crowd rally around the woman's call for peace? Or would the wave of fear pull them back into silence? Before she could fully process her thoughts, an unexpected figure emerged from the ranks of the police, a familiar face that sent shivers down Emily's spine. Emily. It was Lou, her old high school friend, now dressed in the uniform, but what had happened since the graduation they shared was undeniable. "What are you doing here?" Emily blurted, shock and confusion swirling within her. Lou met her gaze, his expression unreadable, a mix of loyalty and duty etched across his features. "Please," he said quietly, "let us talk." The tension hung thick in the air, and Emily could feel the shift in energy. Here stood someone who could bridge the gap between her and the force that could silence everything. Would this conversation change the course of their fight? Or would it plunge them deeper into conflict? Emily's pulse quickened as Lou stepped closer. She searched his eyes, desperately trying to read him. Was he still the friend she used to laugh with, or was he now just another part of an oppressive system? A knot formed in her stomach, and she fought to push down the rising tide of anxiety. "Now," she whispered, glancing back at the crowd, who remained on edge, waiting and watching. She felt the weight of their expectations, the fear and hope swirling around her like a storm. "Yeah," Lou replied, gesturing to a quiet corner away from the thrumming tension of shields and banners. "Just over here." With a hesitant nod, Emily stepped away from her comrades, her mind buzzing with questions. What did Lou want to say? Did he even know what was at stake? In the cramped space, the din of the crowd faded into a distant murmur. Emily felt exposed standing so close to the uniform she had always associated with authority and control. "I can't believe you're here, as this," she stammered, gesturing at his badge as if it were a snake. "Emily, listen," Lou said gently, his voice almost pleading. "I know this is strange. I didn't expect to see you like this. But I'm trying to help. You have to trust me." His gaze held hers, a flicker of the friendship they once shared sparking back to life. But doubt nagged at her. "Help? By standing on the other side?" He took a breath. "You know me. I'm not here to tear you down. I want to bridge this gap, not widen it. I believe in what you're doing. Do you?" Emily shot back, frustration bubbling over. "Because right now, it doesn't feel like it. You're on the opposite team. I had no choice." His voice was firm now, echoing her earlier panic. "But that's not what this is about. It's about protecting people like my family, like yours. I've seen the plans. They'll dismantle this community without a second thought. I joined to make a difference from the inside." Her heart raced, emotions colliding. Could he be trusted? She sensed sincerity in his eyes, but could she accept it? You want me to believe that you could do anything from inside a system that put you on this side of the line? He lowered his voice, urgency creeping in. There's a meeting tonight, high levels. The developers are making their next moves. You could be there, armed with all the information you need to shift this fight in your favor. Emily's mind raced. Her heart pounded. If Lou was telling the truth, this could be the opportunity they desperately needed. But it also scared her to the core. What do you want in return? Nothing. He took a step back, his hands raised. Just give me a chance to prove it. She hesitated, glancing back toward the crowd. They were still there, waiting. If they didn't act soon, everything might fall apart. Okay, let us say I trust you. What's the plan? She said, the words feeling heavy. Lou's expression brightened just a fraction. You gather your people, get them ready for what's about to come. You need their support. We'll get you in. I'll make sure of it. A ripple of excitement sparked through her. They could make a move. But there was also an undercurrent of fear. What if this was a trap? Could they really trust him? Emily felt the weight of this moment as she turned back to the gathering outside. Could she rally her friends and take the chance on Lou's plan? Squaring her shoulders, she returned to the group, determination flooding her veins. But as she stepped into the chaos again, she caught a glimpse of Lou watching her, his expression a mix of hope and caution. Are you ready? She called out, rallying her people. The crowd echoed back, the unity palpable once more. But would that unity hold if they learned the truth? As the plan began to form in the hearts of her friends, a single thought echoed in the back of Emily's mind: what would happen when all truths were exposed? Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing with newfound resolve. She stood before her friends, each face a canvas of hope and fear, mirroring her own inner turmoil. The energy in the air pulsed a mixture of anticipation and dread. This moment had shifted everything, and she could feel every pulse of their collective heartbeat echoing back to her. We will meet tonight, she said, her voice rising above the whispers. Lou's given us a chance to get the upper hand. We can't waste it. There were gasps around her, and she could see confusion in their eyes. They weren't ready to trust someone who wore a badge of authority. What if he's lying? A voice called out from the back, sharp and filled with skepticism. It was Sam, one of the staunchest opponents of the developers' plans. What if this is a trap? Emily hesitated, but the thought of missing this opportunity ignited a fire within her. Then we'll face that together, she replied, her determination palpable. But we have to act. We've fought too long to back down now. As she spoke, she watched her friends' expressions shift. Doubts remained, but the spark of courage was ignited. Lou had risked everything by reaching out. For him to align with them, even for just a moment, felt like a gift wrapped in uncertainty. I'll make the calls and set everything up, Emily continued. Meet back here in an hour. We'll finalize our plan and organize who'll join me tonight. The group dispersed, still murmuring, heads down as they began to strategize. As they outlined their roles, Emily found a quiet corner to gather her thoughts. She couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety clenching her guts. What if Lou's offer led them into a trap? What would she tell the people who believed in her, if things didn't go as planned? Her pulse quickened again when she recalled Lou's eyes. Their flicker of hope had felt real. But could she reconcile that glimmer with the shadows of doubt that clouded her judgment? An hour later, the group reassembled. Some wore determined expressions, ready to follow her lead. Others were hesitant, their trust still hanging by a thread. She caught Sam's doubtful glance, which weighed heavily on her conscience. Okay, everyone, Emily announced, collecting her bravado. It's time to move. Stick together, and stay alert. As they ventured into the night, every street lamp cast long shadows, the dim light barely illuminating their path. Emily felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. If even one thing went wrong, do you think we'll really change anything? A young voice from the back asked, breaking the tense silence. It was Jenna, filled with far too much innocence. Can we really win? Emily paused, yearning to inject a sense of certainty into her response. We have to believe we can, she replied, forcing a smile. If we want any chance at all, we have to fight for it. As they walked, Emily couldn't help but feel the flickering light of determination slowly overshadowed by a creeping doubt. What awaited them at the meeting? Would Lou be there, ready to help? Or would it all disconnect, leading to their doomsday? The building loomed in front of them, dark and foreboding. And just as she was about to step forward, a chilling thought washed over her. What if Lou had his own agenda? What if everything they believed in was about to crash down around them? Emily took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. We're in this together, she whispered to no one and everyone. And finally, she pushed the door open. What awaited them on the other side would change everything. Would they emerge victorious, or would they find a bigger betrayal than they anticipated? The door creaked loudly as Emily pushed it open, a sound that seemed to echo through the empty corridor beyond. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat drowning out the whispers of doubt that swirled in her mind. The dim flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, the air thick with tension as her friends filed in behind her, a blend of trepidation and resolve etched on their faces. Inside the large, cavernous room, they were met with a long table surrounded by a few figures who appeared to be waiting for them. Lou stood at the head, his expression serious yet inviting. Emily spotted the unease in her friends' eyes as they exchanged glances, and she took a deep breath, unwilling to let fear break their fragile alliance. Thank you all for coming, Lou began, his voice steady. I know this is a leap of faith. But tonight, we stand at the edge of something that could change the landscape of this town. The hope behind his words flickered like the lights above. We have a chance to expose the corruption that runs deep in the developer's plans. Emily stepped forward, her voice shaking slightly but growing bolder. Lou, we appreciate your help. But we need to know how we can trust you. There was a murmur of agreement among her friends, the skepticism palpable in the air. I understand why you're wary, Lou admitted, his eyes darting to the group. This isn't just about the land. It's tied to my own career and reputation. But I can't be part of a system that destroys our community. I need your help to put a stop to it. A tension that hung in the air shifted slightly. They could see the sincerity in his gaze, but Sam crossed his arms defiantly. How do we know you're not just playing us to save your own skin? People like you have gotten away with ruining lives for too long. Listen, Lou replied, leaning forward, urgency mixing with desperation. This project isn't just about buildings and businesses. It's about lives at stake, the very families that embody this community. I'm engaging an insider to expose everything. But I can't do it alone. I'm willing to take risks, but I need your courage. At those words, Emily felt a flicker of hope. So what is the plan? She asked, her voice strong, gathering the scattered thoughts of the group. I've received documents that outline the developer's activities recently. They're attempting to secure permits under false pretenses, and they're counting on us being silent. Lou's hands gripped the table, and he glanced around, catching the interest of everyone present. With your help, we can gather evidence and present it to the community board before it's too late. Before anyone could respond, a loud thud from outside made everyone jump, and they turned to the door. Emily's heart raced as she wondered if this was at the moment they would find out if their trust had been misplaced. Stay close, Lou warned under his breath, moving toward the door like an instinctive guardian. The tension in the room tightened like a drawn bowstring. Emily moved to follow, but Sam's hand seized her arm. What if this is the trap we feared? He whispered, the doubt creeping back. We have to believe, she insisted, her voice steadier than she felt. The room held its breath, and the weight of their collective uncertainty lay heavy on her. Whatever happens, we've already taken the first step. Lou opened the door cautiously, the fluorescent lights behind him flickering ominously, casting an unsettling glow across the faces of the group. Outside, Shadows lurked and whispered secrets that made the air feel electric. The sound of heavy footsteps on the pavement outside made the hair on Emily's neck stand on end. "It's now or never," she breathed, heart pounding, as the door creaked wider. What she couldn't have anticipated was the figure that emerged from the darkness. A face she thought she'd never have to see again. A face from her past that threatened to unravel everything they had worked for. Emily gasped, her breath hitching in her throat. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a familiar face that sent shockwaves through her heart. Lily. Her best friend from childhood, the one she had lost touch with after that fateful summer. Now, here she stood older, with a haunted look in her eyes. "What are you doing here?" Emily's voice barely broke through the fog of confusion swirling in her mind. The warmth of the room felt distant now, colder in the shadow of Lily's sudden appearance. Lily looked from Emily to Lou, uncertainty flickering across her face. I came to warn you." Her eyes darted to the door as if expecting someone to burst in behind her. "You're in danger, all of you." Sam's grip on Emily's arm tightened. "What do you mean, danger? Who sent you?" "It's not who sent me," Lily answered briskly, her words racing. "It's what is happening. I've seen things. I know things. The developers, they're more powerful than you think. They have eyes everywhere, and they won't take kindly to anyone trying to stand in their way." Emily felt her pulse quicken. Could it be true? Behind the facade of permits and plans lay something much darker. The weight of responsibility dulled the edges of hope as dread crept in. "I thought you were out of town for good," Emily said, forcing herself to keep her voice steady. "Why are you back now?" "I had nowhere left to go," Lily replied, bitterness coating her words. "I've been following this story since I got back. The people they've hurt, the lives they've destroyed, it's all connected. Our town, our families, they think we won't fight back. But we can't back down." Lou stepped forward, his presence like a strong anchor amidst the emotional storm. "We need proof. Can you help us?" Lily nodded, determination washing over her. "I've been collecting evidence, hidden documents and photographs. It's all in a safe place, but we need to move quickly. They know I've been asking questions." Just then, another noise echoed down the corridor, a deep rumble, accompanied by a low voice that sent shivers down Emily's spine. "We've got company," Sam warned, eyes wide with fear. Panic surged through the room like wildfire. Emily glanced at Lou, whose jaw was set, every muscle taut with resolve. "If they're on to you, we need to get out. Now." Emily's heart raced. The stakes had just risen dramatically. But what about the evidence? She protested, feeling torn between the need to fight and the instinct to protect her friends. "There's no time." Lou snapped, urgency cutting through his tone. "We'll come back for it. We can't let them catch us here." As they moved toward the door, hesitation hung in the air like thick fog. Lily reached for Emily's hand, her grip both comforting and electric. "You're not alone, Em. We'll get through this. Together." With a determined nod, Emily squeezed Lily's hand back, a flicker of hope igniting against the encroaching darkness. But as they reached the entrance, the heavy door swung open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the hallway's dim light. "Where do you think you're going?" The voice boomed, malevolent and authoritative. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The confrontation she feared was here, turning back was no longer an option. In that moment, she knew this was the point of no return. Secrets were unraveling, alliances were being tested, and everything that mattered was on the line. They were poised on the brink of revealing truths that had the power to redefine their lives. What Emily didn't know was that the next few seconds would unearth more than just danger, they would expose hidden connections and layer upon layer of betrayal that she had yet to face. Emily's heart thudded like a drum, reverberating with the urgency of the moment. The threshold before them held both promise and peril. And as the imposing figure stepped forward, she sensed that the storm she had been dodging was finally here, crashing around her with infuriating intensity. the man stood tall, a shadow as vast as his authority. "You're here to disrupt progress," he sneered, his voice thick with condescension. "I suggest you turn back before you regret it." The crowd behind Emily shifted uncomfortably, fear rippling through them, but she could feel the strength of their unity anchoring her. They had fought this hard, there was no turning back now. "Your progress is a facade," Emily shouted, her voice rising proudly above the cacophony of fear. "You're not building a future, you're tearing apart our community. We will not back down." Her words cut through the haze, igniting a flare of defiance in the eyes of her neighbors. Lily squeezed Emily's hand, grounding her as the crowd behind them heated with murmurs of agreement. "We want our way of life," someone shouted, and a chorus of voices swelled in anger, echoing Emily's unwavering spirit. She could feel the shared heartbeat of hope against the dark weight of that ominous figure. "Enough!" he barked, and the crowd fell silent, the tension palpable. "Do you really think this will end well for you?" He took a threatening step closer, attempting to exert power through intimidation. But Emily held her ground. Each moment she faced him felt like reclaiming a piece of the life Jack had envisioned. "We know what is happening here," she exclaimed, rallying courage from every soul present. "You can't erase us. We are a community." With every word, Emily saw the crowd swell with belief, the same belief that Jack had nurtured back when they spoke of dreams rather than fears. It propelled her forward. Suddenly, Lou stepped in front of her, his posture fierce. "You will hear us," he declared, voice steady. "Your greed will not silence our heart. Today, we stand as one." Around him, faces transformed, and the spirit of solidarity rose like a tidal wave. Tales of families, laughter, shared moments began flooding into words, powerful as storm winds, and then, in a sweeping motion, they raised their makeshift signs, a burst of color against the grim reality threatening to extinguish their hopes. "We will not back down. We want our future." The sound erupted like fireworks, igniting something powerful among the throng. They were stronger together, emboldened by a common purpose. The man faltered, eyes narrowing as he faced the intensity of the resolute crowd. Emily felt the energy pulse, an unseen force that fueled her heart and spread conviction through the ranks. In that moment, she realized this was bigger than property or plans. It was about community, resilience, and belonging. Then, without warning, footsteps echoed forcefully from behind, creating a whirlpool of dread in her stomach. Police officers formed a tightly wound line behind the shadowy figure, their faces betraying nothing but strict professionalism. "What are you doing?" Lou called, attempting to break through the tension once more. "We're here to protect our community." A voice from behind the badge cleared their throat. "We simply want control of the situation. Disperse now." The harsh command dripped with authority that cut through the unity binding them together, but Emily wouldn't let fear fracture their resolve. "Listen!" Emily screamed, channeling the spirit of every individual who had ever come into her bakery. "We're not threats, we're families, dreams, lives. You can't take this away." A palpable energy surged around her, rising like an unfurling banner. Encouragement began to ripple through the crowd, bolstered by the conviction of every shouting voice. "We have families to protect," someone cried, and the echoes of support cascaded through every corner of the street. As the officers hesitated, Emily caught a glimpse of Lou, who pressed forward. "This isn't the end. We have the strength of our community backing us. Let them hear our voices." Then Lily, emboldened, stepped beside Emily and Lou, arms raised in solidarity. The air was charged with determination. "Let them know the truth," she urged, eyes shining with purpose. Together, their voices sliced toward the oppressive figure before them anew. "The truth is stronger than your plans. We won't be silenced." And just then, shockingly, something shifted in the atmosphere. The line of police officers seemed to falter, a flicker of humanity crossed their faces. Heads turned, whispers bloomed, and the chilling grip of fear began to loosen. The shadowed figure's bravado weakened, their authority wavering under the passionate tide. "You think you can change this?" he stuttered, unease creeping into his voice. Suddenly, from within the crowd, a voice rang out, a neighbor they all recognized, a voice filled with clarity, a grandmother, fighting back tears. "This land holds our memories, our lives intertwined. We won't lose it without a fight." In that vulnerable moment, her words struck a chord, echoing through the masses. Emily felt her heart swell, warmth chasing away previous doubts. This is our home. Every moment matters. As the truth resonated in the air, something profound began to grow within the crowd. Unity surged, each voice intertwining with another, hearts beating louder in connected solidarity. Together came the chant, a beautiful chorus rising against the walls of confinement. Together. The dark figure hesitated, realization dawning on him. He may have been powerful, but he was no match for the collective heartbeat of this town. The police officers shifted uncomfortably, their loyalties in question, and for the first time, the ground felt stable beneath Emily's feet. Something monumental was about to happen, a shift. The truth had emerged in light, replacing fear with courage. Then Emily took a step forward, breathing deep, feeling as if the very earth beneath her were alive with possibility. "We will fight for this community, just like Jack envisioned. We will create the future we deserve." In that moment, a whisper of hope ignited through the crowd. It became clear together, they could face any challenge. As the tension shifted, victories unfolded within and between them all. What started as a single voice now swelled into one powerful harmony. The barriers began to crumble bit by bit, wrapped in laughter and defiance, expectations reframed. The heaviness lifted, dispersing in the warm light of commitment and unity. They weren't just fighting back, they were rising together. Now, Emily knew, victories weren't just fought for tomorrow but built on today's brave actions. With the truth at their backs and the community beside her, she grinned, flooded with love, knowing that no matter what came next they would find a way together. This is where the story changes. You need to subscribe now to catch the next inspiring transformations. Leave a like now to support our journey and keep the algorithm strong. Comment below with your thoughts on this emotional ending and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to feel this inspiration. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us keep the momentum rolling.